experience already a few times where I was interested in a company, did a quick price look, realized that it was probably really overpriced, and just got discouraged and didn't continue with the process.
I know, that is true.
And then a year later, 2 years later, something happens, there's an event happening, and I go, oh my God, I wish that I had done at least even like a week of research on that company, because I have a feeling right now it's fantastic, but I don't actually know because I haven't actually put my work in.
Well, that is a super good point.
That's happened to me. Like, that's a lesson that I have taken into my own process, because I think I've been really like adversely influenced by prices. And so I've actually started, like, I haven't been doing a lot of research because of this illness going on, but when I've been trying to consciously just not ignore it, but just like sort of push that off to the side and let myself research a great company that I want to know about, so that I have the info and the research is done and I know what I'm about there.
Well, I think you're right. I think that
but at the same time, sorry to interrupt you, I agree that that's a luxury. Like, what you're saying is that in your process, you've got that institutional imperative a bit.
We do have an institutional imperative to a certain degree. We try to avoid it as possible, but we do feel it. And I think that what you're saying that is so right comes from the lesson of having looked at something, not really done all the work, and then when it goes on sale, it goes on sale for a very short period of time.
Yeah, yeah. And we're seeing that over and over in this market, by the way.
Right.
It's been short.
Absolutely true. Companies would try to buy like Tractor Supply or Texas Roadhouse. I mean, they just went on sale for like a split second, almost like half a day. Mm-hmm. And if you weren't on it, you missed it. Mm-hmm. Just that simple. Mm-hmm. And we may be seeing that again in the future. So 100% agree with you that for novice investors, the place to start isn't looking at price and value. The place to start is building a watch list or a wish list of great companies that you would love to own, particularly right now, you guys, because I think it's pretty obvious now that that inflation is starting to get out of control of the Federal Reserve. And, it's in the news every single day now that they're maybe reevaluating their view of this. And the problem with that is that to correct for inflation has in the past required that they raise interest rates and stop printing money. And if they do that, there goes the stock market. I mean, I can't think of a more certain way to blow up the stock market than to raise interest rates. And if that happens, then we'll probably see the market start to tumble. And on top of that, we've got the federal government wanting to spend another $1 trillion or $2 trillion or $3 trillion or God knows how much, if it really will turn out to be, but right into the teeth of inflation. And if they do that, it just jacks up inflation. And so you've got the Federal Reserve working against fiscal policy, with monetary policy going one way, fiscal going the other, and we could have a serious crash that would come out of this. So, point being, Danielle, you're right. You should absolutely focus on building 10 great companies into your watch list. Don't worry about being able to buy them right now. Don't do what, fund managers do and try to find something on sale right now. What you need to find are things you understand, and they go through the checklist. They match all the checklist stuff except for valuation.
Yeah, I think that's right. I also think what you were saying is right and real. It's just real. Like, of course we all want to find a great company that's priced great right now, or like tomorrow. That would be excellent. That'd be a good day. So it's very just real life and human nature for us to want to veer towards those ones if possible. And so I think it's important to call that out and acknowledge that it's exciting and also good for the investing portfolio to do that and not always be waiting on things.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So
you're starting that research process. You're kind of starting it, you're saying, with looking at some pricing valuation stuff. like you said, an iterative process. So beginning with some preliminary numbers, try to figure some stuff out, see if like this has potential. And if it does, then go forward.
Yeah. And I actually want to do something here for you guys. I want to tell you that whenever we do a workshop, we try to help the students pick companies that they can find that are in their wheelhouse. And then we take all of those companies, which could be like 400 companies that were, well, obviously there's a lot of overlap, so it probably wouldn't be 400 unique companies, but 400 suggestions coming in from 400 students, and then distill that down to what might be the best 10 companies that they could then kind of start working on. And I thought it might be really useful to you guys, just in terms of this checklist, to start making it real, is to take a look at some of these companies. I mean, I'm not going to give you an entire list, but some of the companies you could look at that have fallen on these student checklists in the past would include Costco, which is not terribly difficult to understand, Home Depot, Boston Beer, which is SAM, S-A-M, Tractor Supply, we've talked about that here a number of times, TSCO, Lululemon, one of Danielle's perennial favorites, as Sanderson, no, Sanderson's gone, they just sold out, Sprouts Farmers Market. So those are just a few of...
And what are those companies that you just listed?
Those are companies that have been looked at by my analyst team and have been vetted through hundreds of students going through the checklist. Okay. So they're a good...
Not saying anything about... We're not endorsing that this is a good thing to buy these companies in any way.
No. Well, no. In some way, yeah. In some way. Because they did make it through the checklist. But I'm not giving you recommendations.
No,
you guys got to do your work.
Yeah. Just because it went through somebody's checklist doesn't mean anything.
And we certainly don't own all of these companies or even a lot of them. It's just they're a good place to start the checklist. And I'm just giving you a few companies where a lot of students have run the checklist and this company's made it through the checklist. So it'd be a good place for you to play with it.
Yes, these are good case study companies.
Yeah,
to
good
go
case
test
study
it.
companies.
Yeah.
So taking Sprouts, for an example, to kind of get back to the logistics of the checklist.
See, now you're into it. Logistics
yeah, it's kind of cool. Is I'll tell you what, we end up with about a 20-page document that is the answers to the checklist. That's really what it comes down to. Is we go through the checklist literally item by item, line by line, and get an answer to it. And if we come to a place where we can't get an answer, then we dig until we can get an answer. And if we can't get an answer, then that bit's too hard. And that company, we stop the process and we throw that one into the too hard box. So that process of gathering the information on things that were not that easy to dig up results in and by the way, we're keeping all of this information in a tool called Evernote, which is its own kind of database. And we just build a notebook for...
So what that is what are those called? Like a note keeping app. That's what it is.
Note keeping app.
Yeah. Notion is another one. That one's really good. There's a few others.
We like this one because you can put data in there and then other people who are using the same thing can also see that data. And so we don't have to all be in the same room all the time. And we don't end up with very many notes. Each note is a container of a bunch of information. So one note would be, for example, the story, the rules story on this company, which is the checklist. So the checklist and the rules story are synonymous. They're the same thing. So we've got the rules story as one note. Then we've got some other notes that have come into it because, for example, we couldn't get some answers to some things. So we really started digging and we make one note kind of a bibliography. I guess it is a bibliography.
Okay.
So where did that information come from? So here's an example of the evolution of the grocery customer and the evolution of online shopping. Those are off of we've got URLs to them or their book titles. We dug into the USDA on, organic markets. We've dug into organic food sales in the U.S. via 2 or 3 different websites that we dug up. Demographics were interesting to us about the total population. Who's doing the buying and how are they getting older or whatever they're going to be doing. Generational shopping studies we pulled up. So these are all deep into the weeds kind of digging, where we kind of take a shotgun to the data that's out there and just start blasting away. And some of it's useless. Most of it's useless probably, but it also is expanding our knowledge about this industry, about the whole picture. And the more you do of these kind of things, the more you learn about things that'll help you in the future that may not be real helpful right now, but you can use them later. We dug into the Great Recession on... You guys, if you enjoyed this video and you feel it was valuable in teaching you more about how to invest, hit the like button and please share the video with your friends. And if you want more investing content, subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to click the button on the screen. We got a free gift for you. Thanks again for watching.